Hello YouTube, it's been a long time. A few years, I haven't even checked my channel, but I was commenting and posting on it. What started in, gosh, was it 2017 as the Jinka Jabo channel later got changed to Drink of Water because it's easier to say. But that said, I guess I last checked in around the pandemic, and like a lot of us, I was going through a lot in my life. Things were just changing, and since then, I've lived in a few different countries. I'm in Thailand right now, specifically Prachinburi, which is about 3 hours northeast of Bangkok. There isn't really much here. I do like my job though. My students are really cool. And this year, I got a cat. Look at her, I named her Sienna. Say hi, Sienna. Yeah. Anyway, so that's my life. I could talk so much about everything. What happened is a friend of mine, someone, my crush actually, she told me I should make videos. And I haven't told her about the old channel yet, but maybe she'll go back and see it. It's funny, I took a job in Laos this last summer, and as part of the interview process, I included a demo from my channel, and the employer went and watched all the rest of the videos and was very impressed by all of it. Which is odd because, I've changed a lot since then. I mean, that was before I did make a return to the United States. I was in Chicago briefly, and then I was in Virginia, and then I took a job in South America, which was very adventurous and interesting, but I did not care for it very much. I ended up living in a slum, one of Bogota's slums, I think possibly the poorest part of the Western Hemisphere. And that was a real challenge. And like pretty much everyone who goes there, had my stuff stolen and bank cards and everything. So I had to wait for that to come through, and then I finally made my way back to the States in time for my sister's wedding. And from there, I went back to Vietnam, and everything was great for like 6 months, but I didn't get to renew my contract. And I think in part because, I had some bad reviews from students, and I think that was because I was really well put together, I was actually able to accomplish a lot. And I was sober, and I was going to church and all these things. And I was actually a very good teacher, and that doesn't work. That doesn't work with these Gen Z kids. If you're honest, you give them honest grades or honest feedback, they rip into you, even if it's just completely academic. It has nothing to do with a kid's personality or attitude or anything. So yeah, I ended up in Laos, but then that didn't work out. I realized I shouldn't be working in kindergartens. I don't really like little kids. That said, I would like to have my own still someday, but I just don't. I think it's kind of odd for like middle-aged men to really like children, which is hard as a teacher. It's better I teach high school. And as an English teacher, it's very interesting because when I was young, my favorite teachers were English teachers. And they were the ones who seemed the most honest. They were the ones who actually swore in class. And I did get some criticism for that. Even non-native speakers, people who don't speak English, get a little worried by me swearing. And certainly here on YouTube, I have to control myself and not say something ridiculous like that. I don't know. There was Colombia, and then I haven't even mentioned. I left Laos, and then I went to Jakarta, Indonesia. This was last summer. And I stayed there a couple months, but what can I say? I really didn't like it. It's funny, you travel enough and you begin to compare countries, and of course you can't help but rank them in your head and expect certain things. And certainly like my time in Vietnam, going back, if I rewatch these videos, I'll get very nostalgic because, I've lived in 10 countries, I think. Maybe taught in 10, lived in 9, something like that. And, the more you are able to compare, the less anything satisfies you, which is the big psychological problem we all face when we're looking at streaming services and we can't pick a show, or even at a convenience store buying a bottle of shampoo. It's very difficult to determine what you want, and everyone as a result is less satisfied. Oh, and with relationships, I don't use dating apps, never have, but I understand that with so many choices, you are invariably less happy with the one that you decide upon in the end. That said, I came to Thailand. I just said I can't work here anymore. I really didn't like my school or the place I was living, or the fact that Jakarta is just so sprawling and spread out. And like on a Sunday, I would try driving to church, and I'd drive for 3 hours and I wouldn't get close. I couldn't even find it. And I was still in the city, but I guess I was in the very eastern part. This area called Bekasi, which is a boring suburb, like any boring suburb in any boring town the world across. You see more variety in things, you're less satisfied with things, but then you see more similarity. And how everything is kind of bad in the same way and kind of good in the same way. But Thailand I have a special connection to, because I first came here in 2016, and it was right when the previous king, Bhumibol the Great, his funeral was going on, and like I typically do, like I am right now, I was wearing all black at the time, and I was allowed into the inner chambers of the royal palace. I had to wait for 6 hours with only Thai people, no one spoke English, just watching movies about the king, but they did feed us, and we were allowed to go inside. And so going back to Bangkok last summer, I was just filled with immediate joy and a certain cultural love for it. But compared to Vietnam, certainly, and other parts of Asia, I find that the Thai people are standoffish and very sensitive. They're not as loud or as chaotic and disorganized as the Chinese or the Vietnamese people that I've worked with and lived near and talked to. But because of that, there's less pressure here in a way. I'm not as worried about my work. I'm not as concerned about looking weird in public or anything like that. Even though this is a smaller town, I've done busking and things like that. I still feel very comfortable, and I let myself do things like dance and make weird poses. I carry the cat around places where she doesn't even belong, probably. But Sienna is a lot like me. I haven't owned pets in a while, and so it's really amazing how even just it's been a couple of weeks, how our personalities are sort of meshed in the way. I'm trying to walk more like she does. I'm trying to be more cat-like, less morbid, more cool. Let's have that as the theme for 2025, which I really do think is actually going to be my year. And that's why I am saying hi now. So let's try making videos again. I have a lot to say about everything. Over and out.